This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, but the real star of today's show is the Overpower OP Formula and OP GT Sim Racing Chassis. The Overpower OP Chassis is a pro-level sim racing chassis that is built for the modern era of direct drive wheels and heavy-duty pedal sets. The OP Formula chassis goes for €899 or about $1,050 in the US. It is also available in the GT variation, which basically means add your own seat to the regular OP design, and that'll set you back €699 or about $822 in the US. The OP chassis also comes in a handful of different colors, starting off with black, white, yellow, or red. Overpower also makes a light version of this chassis for a money savings, and they make a wide variety of accessories that are available for both versions. So the Overpower OP Formula chassis is made of a combination of materials, starting with HPL board, which is high pressure laminate, which is very strong and scratch and impact resistance, along with anodized black profile tubing, anodized black aluminum plates, and super thick, high-density padding that all combine to make a unique, stylish, sturdy, modular, and highly adjustable sim racing chassis. The Overpower OP chassis is a semi-complicated or intricate chassis. By that I mean it will take you a while to assemble it with all its various parts. It'll also take you a while to completely dial it in to perfection. Now you can look at the Overpower OP chassis as two halves, with the front half being where most of the magic happens. The two sections buckle together to make up the entire rig. The front half of the OP chassis is made with two sides of this HPL board connected together by aluminum profile tubes. This then holds the pedal and wheel deck assemblies between it. The pedal deck is a one-of-a-kind design that is completely made of thick aluminum plates that allow for what seems to be endless front-to-back adjustment, along with angle adjustment from the front or rear of the pedals. Just about any realistic driving angle can be accomplished. The pedal deck can also be moved up and down for a lot of adjustment as well. For our test model, we were also given the electronic pedal adjusters, giving drivers the ease of moving their pedals back and forth at the push of the button. This is great for relaxing or for when others drive your sim rig. This is €119 or about $150 upgrade. Yes, we do pay for luxury in this world. Now the wheel deck is also made of a very thick aluminum plate. This plate is then mounted to the chassis via rounded edged profile pieces. These are mounted to the chassis with adjustable levers to make wheel deck adjustments easier. No tools needed. Once mounted, the wheel deck has a good range of front to back adjustment, a good amount of angle adjustment, as well as a few inches of up and down adjustment to be made. Also part of the front half of the Overpower OP chassis is the accessory for a monitor mount. Now I told them I was going to be using a 49-inch curved monitor, so I'd be using a single mount. I gotta tell you, their mount is really cool. It comes with two different length arms that affect the distance of the monitor from the driver. The single monitor version we are using goes for €169 or $199 US and is available in a triple screen option as well. The back half of the OP chassis is built in a similar fashion, but it's a little simpler in that it really just holds the seat, whether you're talking the Formula version or the GT version, and it starts with that HPL, that high pressure laminate board making up the sides with smaller profile tubes stretched between them to fill the arch of the padding and hold them together. These tubes then support that seat cushion mount and then a very thick, very dense piece of cushioning. This padding is then curved to form a Formula seat and is adjustable to the contours of your body's shape. There is contact on the seat from the shoulders all the way to the thighs, and then it even has a calf support that really distributes your weight across a lot of cushioning or padding. In the case of the GT, or add your own seat variation, it is built on a profile box with HPL sides attached to it, making it a good base. That inner box can then be adjusted in height and angle, and it is to that box that you mount your seat. Another accessory that we're testing on the OP chassis is their shifter handbrake mount, and it works with both the Formula and GT configurations. Basically, it's a very large aluminum plate that connects between the two halves and then has slots along it for mounting hardware for your two accessories. In my case, I'm using a sequential shifter and a small button box. This add-on is an additional €249 or $293. That gives you all the details on the Overpower OP chassis in the Formula and GT position. Now let's talk about driving. And when it comes down to driving, for me, it always starts with the comfort of the rig. I mean, you're gonna be in this thing for hours. How comfortable is it? Starting with the Formula position, you have so much contact area, so much surface area that is touching your body. And after making the adjustments to get the right curvature of the seat in the Formula position, it is a very comfortable driving position. And I find that even more remarkable considering that our feet are actually above our butt. The adjustability of the OP Formula gives us perfectly positioned pedals and wheel for optimal operation. This rig is super strong. I mean, it is wiggle-free strong, and that includes having a big ol' heavy curved 49-inch on top while being torqued on during driving. The pedal tray is one of the strongest I've tested, and even with my super heavy duty brake pedal, it didn't flex in the slightest. When switching to the GT variation, which will somewhat come down to the seat you put upon it when talking about comfort, the OP chassis adapts its position for that as well. It does take some time, it does take some patience and fine-tuning, but it will accomplish the task and deliver the same results. Great strength, great driving position, and an all-in-one option with a monitor mounted right onto the rig. Now I know I've thrown a lot at you in a short amount of time for a rig review, but let's go ahead and talk about my 3 favorite things about the OP chassis, starting with, it is a great Formula driving position for a sim chassis. It makes you feel like you're in a real open-wheeled car, and the driving position and similarity is better than any I've ever driven. It's extremely stiff and strong. Strong enough to hold that monitor without wiggle. I almost never recommend mounting a monitor to a rig, but in the case of the OP chassis, it does it remarkably well. It's highly compatible with gear and great driver adjustment for that gear. It does take time, but with so many adjustments, you're really going to be able to get everything exactly where you want. It just takes that time. And now let's talk about my 3 least favorite things about the OP chassis, and that being, it is a relatively expensive sim racing chassis. But is it really that expensive in comparison to modern pro-level sim racing chassis? And is it only expensive when you get into the accessories? On its own, it seems fairly reasonable. Very low to the ground. It's hard to get in and out of, and for some drivers, that's going to be a deal breaker. Perhaps you could just put it up on a stand to cure that problem. It takes time, and it takes planning to build, and it takes an equal amount of time to dial in, which means it's not for all sim racers. Those looking for a plug-and-play rig will not like the time and energy it takes to build the OP chassis. And now let's do an abbreviated bottom line for the OP chassis. This is a pro-level sim racing chassis. It is a purpose-built sim rig, which means it's really not best rig for doing other tasks like typing emails, web browsing, or even other gaming. Again, this is a pro-level, purpose-built sim rig. It will hold all your gear, and it will allow you to get everything right where you want it and hold it there wiggle-free. It is rock solid. And again, when I talk about the rock solid and mentioning that I don't recommend mounting a monitor to a rig in most cases, it works here, and when it's all done, again, it's got that race car look, and more importantly, it's got that race car feel. When you climb into this, and I do mean climbing into the OP chassis, your feet go into a footwell, you feel like you're getting into a race car, and with that monitor tucked right where it's supposed to be, all your gear right where it's supposed to be, it really does feel like being in a race car. And that is something that is really nice and something that many sim racers are looking for in their sim rigs. Now, it really has been a pleasure doing all the testing and all the reviewing of the Overpower OP Formula GT and GT chassis. Really was a lot of fun, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Now, if you want every last detail, we are going to have the full, long-winded review of this chassis, and we're going to give you everything you need to know: size of the plates, wheel mounting options, all of that stuff. This was just the quickie version for those who don't have a lot of time but wanted to know about this chassis. So I hope you've enjoyed this short, quick version of the review. We'll always follow it up with a full version, kind of testing this out for the future, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like what we're doing, you want to know about the next video, go ahead and subscribe, and be sure to thumbs up if you enjoyed this show. Thank you for watching. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.